Hello and welcome. Yes, you are staring at a granny square, which means we are going to learn how to put one of these together. Now, this pattern dates back to the late 1800s. So this is the OG crochet pattern, and you may have seen blankets in your house growing up, whether your mother put them together or your grandmother put them together, but I love that they are still popular to this day. So I'm going to take you through on how to put one of these together. This is a great beginner pattern because you're only using one stitch with your slip stitch. So you can create so many different projects with the granny square. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab your hook, grab some yarn. It doesn't matter which size of hook you have. It doesn't matter which yarn you are choosing to use. Unless you're following this video while working on a pattern, then I would stick to what's recommended in that pattern. But if you're just in the learning phase, then just grab any hook and grab whatever yarn you wish to use, and let's get started. Okay, so to get started, we're going to create our slip knot and put that onto your hook. And then we are going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. So those are your 3 chains. You're going to turn that over, and you're going to insert your hook into the back of that first chain. So you should have 2 loops on your hook. Now take your tail and wrap it around to the back, and then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull your hook through those 2 loops. And this is your starting point. I think of this as like a little flower bud or a little jewel of sorts, but we're going to work into this bud to create our first round. So chain 2 stitches, and then we're going to do a double crochet into the middle of that little bud. So put your hook through and then do your first double crochet stitch, and then we're going to do another crochet stitch again into that same hole where we did the first double crochet. And this is your first side completed. You got your chain row and your 2 double crochet stitches. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do 3 double crochet into that same hole that we started with. And every stitch is going to be worked into that same hole. So there's your second double crochet, and then your third double crochet. And this is the second side that's done. So we've got this side, and then we've got this side. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to do 3 more double crochet, again working into that same hole as the first 2 sides. And then a third double crochet. Okay, so now you can start to see your center square, or this first round is starting to take shape. Chain 2, and we're going to do, you guessed it, 3 more double crochet. And this is the one stitch that I was referring to. You're going to be doing a double crochet stitch all the way through. So there's 2 and 3. So the last step we need to do is to connect this side to this side to close that off. So we're going to chain 2. And now we're going to create a slip stitch. Now, if you look here, this is the first round that we created. So you'll see your 2 chain stitches that you started with, and then your 2 double crochet stitches. So I want you to ignore the 2 chain stitches here, and then I want you to put your hook into the 2 loops at the top of that first double crochet stitch, and you're going to put your slip stitch into there. And now you are finished that first round. So you should have 4 corners, 4 holes in each corner, and that's what we're going to work into for our second round. Now, before we move on to that second round, we're going to do one thing first. This view is the right side of your pattern or of your square, and this is the wrong side of your square. Now, I don't know if this is a technique that everybody uses. This is something that I've learned from another crochet designer that I follow. When she does her granny squares, every round you're going to turn your square. So this is the right side, that's the wrong side. So to keep track of which side is the right side, I'm going to take a stitch marker, or you can take a piece of yarn to use as your marker, and I'm just going to pop that into the middle so that I know that this is the right side of my square. Okay. So for the second round, I'm going to turn it, and I'll explain why we're going to do this in a little bit. So for the second round, we're going to work into the back or from the back. So round 2, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to put 2 double crochet into that first corner hole that you see here. So 2 double crochet. Now, given this is a corner piece, we need to create our corner, so to speak. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do 3 double crochet into that same corner hole that we just worked from. This is to just create a nice rounded corner, and this is something you'll do on every corner. So there's our first corner created. We got our 3 here, which includes the 2 double crochet plus, or sorry, the chain stitches, and then your 2 double crochet, and then you've got your 3 double crochet. So now we're going to do 3 double crochet into that next corner space. And there's 3, and just like the first corner, we're going to chain 2 and then put another 3 double crochet into that same space. So there's 2, and then there's 3. Okay, so then you can start to see a rounded corner square starting to take place. So I want you to do the same stitch pattern into each of the remaining corners. So we're going to do 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochet into each corner, and I will meet you back here to start that third round. Okay, so we're at the end of round 2, and we're going to join these 2 sides together, and just like in round 1, we're going to ignore that those first chain stitches that we put in to start the round, and you're going to insert your hook at the top of that first double crochet stitch and simply put in a slip stitch to close those 2. And we are officially done round number 2. So I want you to turn your work so we can start round number 3. Now the reason why I asked you to throw in a stitch marker to mark the right side versus the wrong side is the more rows that you start to put on, the more rounds you put on, you're going to start noticing a little bit of a lined pattern start to take shape. And it just adds a little bit more of a dimension to your square, kind of like a pattern within the square. It's a really beautiful effect. And I also find that it helps your square to lay flatter than if you were just to continuously work on that same side. And when you're joining multiple squares together, that definitely helps. So it's a little technique that I learned from another crochet designer, and I really like the finished look. So it's something that, you know, if you want to use within your square, then please do. So to start round number 3, we're going to chain 2. And we're going to put our 2 double crochet stitches into the space right below your hook. And then we're going to go into our corner space, and just like all of the other corners, we're going to do our 3 double crochet stitches. So there's our 3rd. You're going to do 2 chains and then another 3 double crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to do 3 double crochet into that next space. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll just go ahead and complete your corner with your 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochet, and then continue all the way around until we get to the end. And then I'm going to show you how to switch to a different color for the round number 4. Okay, so 3rd round is complete. I already went ahead and I joined the 2 sides together with putting in that slip stitch into the 2 loops of that first double crochet stitch. Ignore the chain and put the hook into the 2 loops at the top of the first double crochet stitch and put in your slip stitch. Now, if you want to make a blanket with just this color, go ahead, right? It's your blanket and you can do whatever you want. But if you want to put in a different color, for example, then let's go over that technique. It's very easy. Just kind of like this, you know, I've got different colors in that. And with so many, I mean, there's 50 billion colors of yarn out there. So, I mean, you can create a granny square blanket and use different colors and the blanket will look different every single time. Okay. So we're going to, after you've joined your slip stitch, join those 2 sides together, you're going to snip off your thread and you're going to fasten off your ivory color. We're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to introduce our new color. And don't forget to turn your work. So to add a new color, you're going to find one of the corners. It doesn't matter which corner, but insert your hook into a corner and you're going to pull your new color through. Then you're going to do 2 chain and then put in your 2 double crochet stitches into that corner space. And just like our other corners, 2 chain and then 3 double crochet into that same hole. So The technique doesn't change, the pattern doesn't change. The only thing that changed is the color. Then we're going to do 3 double crochet into that next space. And then 3 double crochet into the next space. And then you would just continue on with your new color all the way around in the same manner as you did with your ivory. Okay? So that's how we put a granny square together. Again, like you can just put on round after round after round until you run out of yarn or your whole house is covered in blankets. That's why I love this, because you can make a beautiful blanket with just a simple double crochet stitch working in those rounds. Now, if you have any questions or if you need any help at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you make a blanket, I really want to see it. So get to work. I want to see pictures. And thank you so much for watching.